Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 22nd season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 247 with Fight on State. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ Sports Director Peter Terpstra, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By RE/MAX Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. We're back, joined by the Nitwits. We got Neil, we got Mark, and our special guest today, former Penn State captain Mike Irwin. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Peter. It's good to be here. Good to be back.
Good to have you back, Mike Nitwit. And you got your pen. You got your pen with you, so you're ready to roll.
All right, so Penn State coming off of a just absolute corn kicking against Maryland. Maryland builds this game up, right? National television on a Friday night, and Penn State goes in there and comes away with a 59-0 win. Neil, right off the top, what did you like the most?
Well, I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
Corn kicking.
When you play Nebraska.
From the Midwest.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I thought Penn State played great. They made excellent use of the bye week. They were really fresh. Did a lot of things, that they didn't do against Pitt. I think they had a short passing game. They're continuing to play so many things. But I got to mention, Maryland, I think the mere sight of Penn State scares the turtle out of its shell because they have not scored a touchdown in 3 years. How do you explain that? They put 50 on Ohio State last year and really could or should have beaten them. But Penn State was on the top of their game, but they had a very cooperative host.
There's been a lot of talk about how talented this team is, but how young it is. But I think what you're seeing is James Franklin and his staff have put together back-to-back outstanding recruiting classes, and now you're starting to see it. I mean, KJ Hamler, he's only a redshirt sophomore. Sean Clifford's only a redshirt sophomore. The running backs, young guys. So I think you're starting to see, against a team like Maryland, that's a good team. We saw what they were able to do against Syracuse. They have good athletes in spots, but Penn State had athletes across the board. And then the other thing, Neil, and Mike, because you guys have followed a lot of Penn State football. Sorry, Peter, you haven't covered quite as much, but I know we kind of live in the present, but I'm trying to think of a game where Penn State came out of a bye and addressed so many of its issues, like spot on, the offensive line, the pass rush, third down on offense and defense, Sean Clifford, on fire after he struggled against Pitt. I think a lot of that, you really have to look, the player's great, but the coaching staff did an unbelievable job.
I was really concerned going into the game, the experts had about a 6.5 point spread.
Yeah.
And Maryland, we recruit a lot of guys out of Maryland, a lot of people out of New Jersey. And so if Maryland would win that game, that's the biggest fear I had, that Maryland might come up and I expected a lot more out of Maryland than what we saw on Friday night. I mean, that was terrible exhibition of football on their part. I mean,
yeah, it was kind of odd walking down to the field, and I actually saw some of the recruits leaving, and they were just
Maryland recruits.
Yeah, I mean, they were recruits visiting Maryland, I should say. I don't know if they're necessarily Maryland recruits now, but they were. It wasn't as if they were even disappointed. They were just kind of laughing about the whole thing, and
well,
so from that
coach,
perspective,
Mike Loxley, he was the offensive coordinator at Alabama. It's his second year, and he had a lot of junior college transfers and come in. And he loaded up, and I think they had. I think they have, good defensive backs and offensive running backs. I think their line is probably
right. I think Penn State clearly won the game up front, but to me, it's a mental thing with them, because I don't know if they're a good team, but they're a lot better, I would think, than they showed. And I think that's a point about how Penn State addressed a lot of their issues. Maryland had an open date too, and I thought the Big Ten kind of did Maryland a favor by making this their conference opener. They had the blackout going. You had all their people energized. I think most people were surprised that this game was at least more competitive.
Well, you also have James Franklin says every game is they prepare the same, they prepare the same, they prepare the same. If you were down on the field after the game, you could tell that there was a little bit more emotion. And why is that? We can't forget that James Franklin was once essentially the coach in waiting there. I mean, he for all intents and purposes, had been promised a head coaching job, and that they pulled that out from under him. So you have to believe, and he would never say this, nor should he, because he's a class act. But we're journalists and regular people. We can talk about it however we want. And you have to know that he's bringing the best effort. And you have so many connections, Tyler Bowen from that staff. These guys are all motivated, and so many of the kids from the DMV, they are all jacked up, and they clearly handle this much better than their Maryland counterparts.
And James Franklin and Mike Loxley, they coached together down there for a while. So they knew each other pretty well, I think. And so a little bit of pride there. And now he's competing with Penn State for these recruits. And, that's a big game. I mean, if they would beat us, that would open the door for a lot of those recruits.
They're a long way.
They'd probably put them back a few years.
But even when they did beat them, Mike, back in Franklin's first year, I mean, I know that that's the way a lot of people look at it. But, if it's a pattern of winning year after year after year, I never thought one game is going to really make or break you. It may with a recruit or two, but I think overall it may set a tone. It would look good for Maryland, but I don't think it would have hurt.
But now it's staggering. Now it's like 201 to 20 in the last 4 games.
And Maryland's only won twice. I mean, 40 wins, 2 losses, I think, or so.
49, isn't it? Yeah.
I thought 40 was 39.
Okay,
and we
40,
got one more. We have 40.
You know math better than I do.
There you go. I'm not sure.
When I was there, we were 2-0.
Might start against Maryland.
There you go.
I'm not sure what to make of Maryland, and that's something we're going to get to coming up next on the show. Is Penn State a world beater, or did Maryland just not show up? We'll talk about that next.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town and Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show. We hit on a number of things kind of overarching between Penn State and Maryland, but boy, Sean Clifford looked real good. Is this kind of, Mark, maybe a signature win for him so far in his young career?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, coming out of the Pitt game, one of the things I wrote was is that going to be an aberration, or is that par for the course? And my guess was that the Pitt game was going to be an aberration, because we've seen enough of this kid to know what he's about. And then the way he's carried himself after big wins, tight wins, whatever, you knew he was going to go into the off week. And talking to him after the game, he said he looked at more film in the off week of mistakes he made than he would during a regular week. And I think that just speaks to what he's all about. And listen, let's give a big shout out to Ricky Ronnie. People have been critical of him. I have been. But you look at the way this offense played, the way Clifford bounced back after a tough game against Pitt, I thought it was really good.
I think they adjusted things. They didn't take the shots downfield that they were taking against Pitt. These were higher percentages. They were getting the ball quickly to Hamler and their playmakers on slants and over the middle, and to all these running backs that they continue to be able to play. They played 4 of these guys really midway through the second quarter. So yeah, and I think that, they hit their first 7 third downs. That had been a point of emphasis. So yeah, I do give them a lot of credit. I think that Maryland needed things to go well early for them, and they didn't. And I think they just got discouraged. I'm sure they got worn down physically, but this has been their pattern.
Clifford, he was like 26 out of 31. But I think Maryland's secondary, they weren't even around half those receivers. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure. I have a lot of confidence. I think Clifford has the potential to be real good. I think he had an outstanding. He was right on the money with a lot of that, but with weakness I'm not sure he's playing against the best secondary in the country, and he wasn't getting much of a pass rush like against Pitt. At least Pitt was pressuring him a lot more than Maryland. Maryland never got to him, I don't think. The whole time.
No sacks. I like how he keeps his eyes upfield, dumping off to Journey Brown, making a big run. Clifford, hey. Nobody wishes ill on Tommy Stevens, and the kid has had no luck at all staying healthy. Got hurt again this weekend, but it may have been a blessing in disguise in terms of getting Clifford the opportunity to play more on it, because it's hard to believe that Stevens would be any better.
Best of luck to Tommy Stevens with that injury. But I will say, looking back at it, and I thought it was the case at the time, there was absolutely no way coming out of spring practice when Tommy Stevens hadn't played since November that he could have been guaranteed the job. James Franklin had to declare it from Clifford's perspective, if he wasn't going to name him the starter, it had to at least be an open competition. And credit Clifford for stepping up after Tommy Stevens left and playing the way he's played. Again, Tommy Stevens, hope he gets better and has a great season. But so far, boy, James Franklin obviously made the call in making that an open competition, or saying it was going to be open.
He's had trouble staying healthy even at Mississippi State.
Oh, he got knocked out of the game Saturday.
So we're 4 games into this thing. It might be, we just started off Big Ten play. It might be that time of the year where we kind of try to evaluate how good Penn State is. Do we have a clear picture? Not even a clear picture, but are we trending in the right direction? Kind of figure out how good this team is.
I think defensively, they're outstanding. Probably the best defense I've ever seen down at Penn State.
Nice.
And they have all kind of substitutes coming in that are just as good as the starters. So we have a lot to look forward on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I don't know. The only game that really scares me, or I'm thinking ahead now. Obviously we got to play Iowa and Michigan State, but if you watch that Justin Fields from Ohio State, that kid is unbelievable.
Good team.
So we'll really be challenged there.
I think you might be. This may be the fastest defense, but you have some real legacy defenses, whether it's 68 or 69 or 85, 86. So I think this team still has a lot to prove and some tough places to go on the road. And things really went their way the other night. And I think Maryland had a lot to do with it.
But the athleticism of the secondary, they have a lot of guys that step in there, and even receivers. It seems they just go to the cupboard and pull somebody else out of there. They have really a lot of depth in there. I don't know. I think Franklin's doing a great job recruiting people and getting them in there. And then so far they've been playing a lot, so they're getting a lot of experience.
Well, when you lose Micah Parsons to targeting, and you don't even kind of notice it because Jesse Luketa comes in and plays so well. The other area that I think needs a real shout out is the offensive line. At the beginning of the season, I thought this team was going to go as far or not as far as the offensive line carried it. It had its struggles in the first couple games. This was not a great defense, obviously, but to me, this this was an outstanding step by Matt Limegrover and that group of offensive linemen, still rotating in some guys. And I thought that's Peter, when you talk about big picture, to me, that is the biggest thing coming out of this game, that you saw more good play, and I think we're going to see more this week coming up.
Yeah, I think I want to give Franklin credit also. First play, the offensive play that they had from the 8, he went racing down and called a timeout, which you probably shouldn't have to do with the play clock ready to expire. They saw a look there. You know, if they would have had to settle for a field goal on that drive, it's a little bit different. And I think that was a decisive move early in the game.
You know, the other thing I will mention, I'm unloading on you guys. This is my first day back.
Bring it.
I'm unloading. But the special teams, I mean, that's an area that I think is the best I've ever seen down there. The kicking, the punting, I mean, the field goals, you know, the kickoff. I mean, I think they've only had 1 or 2 return on Stout. I mean, they've done an outstanding job there.
He's been tremendous.
And I think the return, I think Hamper will come back and return some for touchdowns off the punts and the kickoffs.
He's a weapon wherever you put him, right? All right, coming up next, where does Penn State go from here? Can they get any better? Can they get any worse? Of course they can. We'll kind of take a look at everything next.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Allegheny Street Cigar. Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV. Get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group. Committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. I'm still here with the Nitwits. 59-0 win. What do you say?
What do you mean you're still here? You're the Nitwit.
I know. We'll get to that. Let's not get too much away. All right. So 59-0 win. What do you look at for Penn State getting better? What do they need to clean up? You think?
Well, it's hard to evaluate. You know, it's hard to evaluate when you win that big and pick some things apart. And I think this will be a test for them this week. You got a noon start. You got Purdue coming in, so this will be a test of some maturity to be able to handle this level of success, because people are talking about them being maybe in the conversation with Ohio State and Wisconsin. They've been the best 2 teams, I think, in the Big Ten so far. I saw some special team situations that can be cleaned up. They had 3 special teams penalties the other night, and you know, when there's not a lot of things to nitpick, but I think that would be one. I think they had 7 or 8 penalties. So even though Maryland was getting a ton of penalties, but they had 3 on special teams.
This is a noon kick this week?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Traffic.
Well,
Go ahead. No,
I'm not even. Listen, I would say that I talked up the offensive line, and I think putting together back-to-back games now is going to be key. Obviously, Purdue, as we tape this, we don't know who's going to be there, who's not going to be on offense or defense, but you're looking at an O-line for Penn State that I think played its best game in a couple of years against a Big Ten opponent, and I think now it's time to try to put 2 back-to-back together, and I think that could set a really good foundation for the rest of the Big Ten campaign.
You know, I think the schedule has been very favorable to Penn State. I mean, the way it's worked out. And Purdue, I don't think they're going to come in and, I don't want to give you an early prediction.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, then we got Iowa out there, which could be, you know, Michigan State and Michigan. I mean, so we got a lot in front of us to go. But I don't know you can clean anything up. I mean, I don't think there is a lot. I mean, they only kicked off to us 1 time, I guess, right? They never made another touchdown, so that
yeah, I think some of the Maryland, you saw Rutgers fire their coach. I think these teams that are really struggling at times in the Big Ten, and it's very, you know, it's become pretty lopsided. There's Rutgers, got to go out and play Michigan after Michigan gets pounded by Wisconsin. So I'm reluctant to maybe overreact to the fact that this game got so out of hand. I still want to see how they're going to play, and on the road at tougher venues.
I give them a lot of credit, though, for, well, I guess I don't give them credit because it was a smart thing to do, but playing so many young players. And they weren't just doing it when the game was a blowout. Again, they got young guys in there kind of early and often, and then toward the end of the game, you're able to get really deep into your bench, and a lot of these guys got a lot of reps, and I think that bodes well for them moving forward, too.
They've seen some adversity, but I don't feel like they've seen enough. You know, you're going to enter a buzzsaw eventually once you get later in this schedule. So I'm with you. I still don't know how good they can be when we're talking about Big Ten championships, right? That's always, I mean, that's where you got to start. And I mean, Purdue's going to be a test. I mean, it's homecoming too, so you got to see how maybe some of those younger guys kind of deal with extra, anything. So
he's projecting his pick now too. Wow, this is
interesting.
Okay,
teasing us.
Maybe a little bit.
Segment early.
So I guess. Man, 59-0 is still just like it's so hard to kind of pick out.
Well, that's what
Neil's
I'm saying.
usually the Mr. Wet Blanket who could find something, and even he's struggling.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of negatives in this game, but the one, and this is not a negative, but this is a reality, is I think you look at this tape, and if there was maybe a half a dozen plays that were changed for Maryland, it may have been at least a more competitive game. Yeah. The late hit out of bounds right away on the quarterback, which I thought was kind of a bad call after the quarterback throws the interception. He bumps the kid out of bounds. Now Penn State's got the ball at the 8. They don't tackle Hamler, and now that's a credit to Hamler. I mean, if you're Maryland, you look at that and say, where did this game totally get away from us? And down at the goal line when they threw the interception.
Well, those are all woulda, coulda, shouldas, though. I mean,
they're a very undisciplined team. I mean, they're pounding on and they cause a lot of problems. Yeah. Remember, a couple years back, they wouldn't even shake hands to start the game.
That was a different program.
And Loxley got to be upset.
Two coaches ago.
I think he sees through a lot of this stuff, and hopefully they'll get it correct.
Coming up next, we mentioned Purdue. We're going to take a look at the homecoming game, Purdue. We'll make our picks next.
The Nitwits are being brought to you by Dorman's Jewelry. The answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to the show. Let's go and take a look at the Nitwit of the Week standings so far this season. I won last week. Yay!
High risk, high reward. 2 weeks in a row.
What happened to the old? Where's Brendan? I want to talk to him about our old.
The old graphic. That's okay.
Okay.
We'll work on it. So I just picked Maryland's last year's score, 38-3. That's how I won. So
we don't play Purdue.
That's not my Purdue pick. All right. Entering this season, Penn State plays Purdue, noon kick, homecoming, coming up this next game. I picked Purdue to be the game where this could be where Penn State gets upset. That's what I thought.
Wow.
But I'm now that Penn State's played so well, heading into this one, I feel like I have to change my pick. I mean, I have to.
You're going to pick Penn State.
I am going to pick Penn State, right? And I wrote it down on my grocery list. 37-28, Penn State. Also says get haircut.
Cabbage.
Okay. Soy sauce, milk.
Right.
Yeah.
37-28
Penn State. Who's next?
Mike.
Well, Purdue's like 2-3, I think, or 1-3. I forget exactly. And I don't think they're going to bring a lot to the table. So I'm going to make it pretty big. I'm going to say Penn State 40, Purdue 7.
Okay.
Okay, big win.
Okay, I'll jump in. Purdue has been kind of defensive, so they've given up. They score a lot. They scored 30 points almost every game, but they've given up at least that much. The noon kick, I think maybe, like I said, a test of Penn State's maturity a little bit. I'm going to say Penn State 45, Purdue 18.
Yeah, I actually had my pick beforehand, just so you know, okay?
All right.
You know, getting home on Saturday, I had the opportunity to watch some of Purdue against Minnesota, and I was surprised that Minnesota made Purdue's defense look really slow. And if Minnesota is able to do that, I can't imagine what's going to happen here. So I'm looking at this. I had it beforehand, 45-14. I think Penn State gets up early, and you're looking at a Purdue team that was in a tough game last week, has had some injury issues. Nittany Lions roll.
That's okay. I thought you were going to land on me for a second.
No, I didn't.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not
That's it for our show. We made our picks, folks. We'll catch you next week.
The Nitwits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Coldwell Banker Town & Country Real Estate, Blair County's home-a-day realtor. By Courtesy Motor Sales of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By Encompass Health, a higher level of care. Encompass Healthcare. Ask for us by name. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By Allegheny Street Cigar, Allegheny Street Cigar, Blair County's only cigar lounge. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Freedom RV, get ready to tailgate this Penn State football season with Freedom RV Rentals. By Jethro's, serving ribs, steaks, Italian specialties, and the famous Prospector salad since 1983. Takeouts, delivery, and catering. By Lucky's Beer Distributor. Let Lucky's Beer get you ready for PSU game day. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. Fullington Trailways, offering round-trip transportation to and from Beaver Stadium from a variety of locations in State College and hotels in the Altoona area. Gio's Barbecue, award-winning hickory smoked ribs, chicken, and much more. By Star Beverage. No matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Lions 247 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Sunday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.